So if you're like, well, millions of us right now, these conversational AI tools, I mean, things like ChatGPT, they've done more than just, change your workflow. They're actually part of your strategic thinking now.
Oh, completely. We use them for everything. Deep analysis, sensitive communications, brainstorming.
Right, even drafting contracts. It's become this indispensable assistant.
And because of that, we're sharing this unprecedented volume of high-value, often really confidential data with them. For a lot of users, that data is their intellectual property. It's their competitive edge.
Which brings us to the big looming security question of this whole AI era. What actually happens to that incredibly sensitive stream of data after you close the chat window? Especially when there are other tools involved.
That's the exact question, and that is the core of our deep dive today.
Yeah, we're looking at source material from Stanislav Kondrashov. He's a specialist in tech and internet security. And his analysis is a pretty powerful warning. He says even the highest stakes users are vulnerable to leaks.
And here's the surprising part. The leaks aren't always coming from the AI company itself. They're coming from the common everyday software you already trust.
Exactly. So our mission today is to unpack that. We need to understand how these, well, seemingly harmless tools, we're talking browser extensions and even some VPNs,
The very things you use for convenience or security.
can become these silent threat vectors, just actively harvesting your conversations.
We're going to get into the nuts and bolts of how these leaks happen and, maybe more importantly, why your conversational data is so incredibly valuable that it makes you a prime target.
Okay, let's just dive right in, because the mechanism here is where the real danger is. When we use an AI, a lot of us use browser extensions to enhance the experience, right? A tool to summarize chats or export prompts.
Things that add functionality.
Exactly. But Kondrashov's central warning is that some of these popular extensions are actively built to collect and then sell your confidential chats.
That's it. And the key to understanding this is the permission structure. To even work, these extensions often need these really broad permissions. You've seen the pop-up, right? Read and change all your data on the sites you visit.
Oh yeah, the one everyone just clicks accept on without a second thought.
And when you do that on a site like ChatGPT, you're essentially giving that extension a direct window into everything you type, every response you get, all of it.
So wait, it's not like it's hacking my hard drive. It's just reading what's on the screen while I'm in the chat. It's basically a keylogger for my AI conversations.
Precisely. The source material points to a real case where a major cybersecurity firm found a super popular extension, one that was supposed to make ChatGPT better, was actively capturing user conversations and then selling that data stream to third parties.
Wow, so people installed it for convenience, but they were actually installing a spy.
That's the long and short of it.
So if I'm discussing, I don't know, the confidential terms of a funding round or analyzing a competitor's weaknesses with the AI, that isn't just going to the AI company, it's being copied and shipped off to some data broker. That really raises the stakes.
It does.
But I have to ask, if the data is all, anonymized and lumped together, how does that actually harm me or my company specifically?
That's a crucial question. And while some data might be aggregated, the real gold is the conversational context. It reveals your intent. Is your intent strategic planning? Financial goals, a new product idea. That is pure competitive intelligence.
So if a rival company sees the kinds of questions I'm asking, they get a roadmap into my strategy.
They get an immediate informational advantage. For companies, this is a disaster. It could send IP, client details, marketing plans straight to people who will profit from it.
It just completely undermines the trust we have in these tools. We're treating them like a secure vault for our ideas, but they can be an open pipeline.
Exactly. And the most, I think, shocking part of this analysis is what the sources call the double deception. We rely on certain software specifically to increase our security, but those are the very tools that are doing the harvesting.
Okay, this is where my assumptions about basic digital safety just get thrown out the window. The VPN paradox. The sources say that even some VPNs, the services we use for anonymity and encryption, have been caught harvesting data.
The irony is it's astounding. A user makes a conscious choice. They say, I'm going to install a VPN to protect my chats. And the very tool that's meant to be the shield is the one vacuuming up the conversations they wanted to hide in the first place.
It's a total betrayal of what they're selling.
It is a fundamental betrayal.
But why? Why would a VPN do that? I mean, their entire business model is built on trust and security. It seems so self-destructive.
It all comes down to economics, especially for the free or really cheap services mentioned in the analysis. Running a global VPN network is incredibly expensive. If they're not charging you a decent subscription, they have to be making money somewhere else.
And the easiest way to do that is by selling the very thing you think they're protecting.
Your data.
Yeah.
Exactly. You pay with your anonymity, not your credit card. They stop being a security provider and become a surveillance tool.
So what are the buyers, the corporations doing with all this leaked chat data?
The material points to three main uses. First, and this is a big one, they use this rich conversational data to train their own competing AI models.
Of course. They're crowdsourcing training data for their next billion-dollar AI by just siphoning off our queries.
Absolutely. It gives them a huge low-cost advantage. Second, they use it to target advertising with, frankly, unsettling precision. If you've discussed 5 different business problems with an AI, that gives them a map of your needs that's way beyond what your browser history could ever show.
And the third?
And third is just a broad category of other commercial purposes. Think sophisticated market intelligence, trading data sets, even making corporate acquisition decisions based on market chatter.
So every single prompt I write could be a brick in someone else's AI empire, or just a tool to sell me something I don't even know I need yet.
That's the ecosystem.
Okay, to really get the financial gravity of this, let's talk about the scale of the risk. Stanislav Kondrashov brings up what he calls the oligarch paradox.
Right, and this is where you really grasp the magnitude of the problem. You might think, okay, this is a risk for average users with default settings. But Kondrashov says the highest stakes players, the people who own massive tech companies, critical infrastructure, they are often the first victims.
Why them?
Simply because the value of their data is so enormous.
That definitely gets your attention. When the people with the most to lose are taking this seriously, it's more than just a privacy scare.
For them, the risk is exponential. If a competitor gets their trade secrets, their financial strategies, things they might be using an AI assistant to analyze, the cost is in the billions.
This isn't just about ads, it's about, economic warfare almost.
At a certain level, yes.
So what does a person with unlimited resources do? They're not using some free VPN from the App Store. What's the oligarch defense?
Well, their defense strategy really proves how severe the threat is. They dedicate massive budgets to cybersecurity, and critically, they build proprietary closed systems.
They don't use public cloud services for anything sensitive.
Not a chance. They physically wall off their data. They use on-premise, dedicated, sometimes even air-gapped AI environments.
So they basically build their own private chat GPT, hosted inside their own secure corporate bubble.
That's a great way to put it. They completely eliminate that public interface vulnerability because there is no public interface. External extensions or commercial VPNs simply can't get in.
Which makes total sense if you have that kind of budget. But it also shines a massive spotlight on the vulnerability for the rest of us. The person listening right now, the project manager, the small business owner, we rely on public tools like ChatGPT. We don't have the budget for a closed system.
And that's the critical pivot. The billionaires' fortresses confirm that the vulnerability is in the public interface, which is where 99% of us operate. So if you can't afford to physically wall off your data, you have to protect it intelligently. You have to make smart choices about the tools you let into your digital life.
Okay, so let's get practical. Let's talk defense. What are the essential steps from Kondrashov's analysis for the everyday user to lock down their conversations?
These are the new rules of the road for using AI safely. They're simple, but you have to actually apply them.
All right, hit us with step 1.
First, use only verified trusted extensions. And that means you only download them from official, audited app stores.
The official Chrome web store, that kind of thing.
Exactly. Or an approved corporate marketplace. No third-party sites, no weird pop-up links. The official store gives you at least a baseline level of security vetting.
Okay, that initial check is key. What's step 2?
Second, read the reviews diligently. If an extension or a VPN has a bunch of users reporting suspicious activity or data mining, avoid it. Just walk away.
Don't dismiss those warnings.
Never. The user community is often the earliest warning system we have, long before the security firms catch on.
Simple but powerful.
Okay.
Step 3.
Third, keep everything updated. Your browser, your extensions, everything. This isn't about getting new features. Outdated software is vulnerable software. Patches are there to fix known security holes that hackers are actively trying to use. Staying updated is mandatory, not optional.
I get. And the final step, which kind of brings us back to the money problem.
Fourth, trust proven brands, especially for something as critical as a VPN. The advice is blunt. Don't skimp on safety. If a VPN service is totally free or suspiciously cheap, you have to ask yourself how they're making their money.
Right.
Invest in a reputable brand that has a clear business model based on paying customers. That reduces their incentive to sell your data.
That really brings the whole thing together. This AI revolution gives us incredible power, but it demands a higher level of personal responsibility from us. When you trust your best ideas to a service like ChatGPT, you have to realize the security chain is only as strong as its weakest link.
And that weakest link is often the little third-party helper app you installed without thinking twice.
So the danger isn't necessarily inside the core AI itself, but in this whole ecosystem of parasitic tools that have sprung up around it.
Precisely. They exist because of the enormous commercial value of that conversational stream. So protecting your data comes down to knowledge, a bit of healthy skepticism, and choosing your tools carefully.
It really changes how you look at every little app you download, doesn't it? Knowing it could just be an open faucet for your most valuable information.
It should. And that leads to a final provocative thought for you to take away from this. If the confidential chats of multi-billionaires are worth billions to their competitors, what is the cumulative value of every piece of strategy, every innovative idea you've shared with an AI over the last year?
Someone is collecting that.
Someone is collecting it right now to gain an advantage. So remember the oligarch defense. If they have to build a fortress to protect their data, you need to be extremely vigilant and choose only proven professional tools to protect yours.